Alright guys, welcome back to another video. Today we'll talk about the most common market structures uh, which I've observed during a market bottom. Alright, so let's say this is the end of a bear trend. So what happens around this area? How does this rally start? Alright, how does this rally start from a pullback? Right, from a pullback, how does this rally start? What happens around the bottom? We'll do a deep dive into it. It's not very complex, actually. It's quite simple. You just have to keep a tab on a few points, and I'm sure you'll be able to catch a lot of market bottoms just by doing this. All right, and mostly Nifty, you will see this is happening very frequently. There is a very tiny consolidation around the bottom of a trend, and then suddenly Nifty just starts shooting up. All right, if you see a big pullback, tiny consolidation starts going up. Again, a big pullback, tiny consolidation here starts going up. So it happens time and again in Nifty, and even maybe it might happen in some stocks as well. So what really happens after a big fall? All right, so we have to consider uh, two or three things here, right? So let's say there is a pullback which is going on, all right, and this is a very deep sort of a bear rally which happens. So in the last leg of the rally, all right, in the last leg of the rally, there will be an extension into the downside, all right. So there will be a sharp fall which will get reversed very quickly into the supply, all right. So why this happens is because the market becomes very extended towards the downside. So market uh, becomes very extended towards the downside, and the selling areas basically stay upwards, obviously, because that is where the selling came from, and the market is here. So at this point, the supply is pretty low and the demand is very high because the supplies are already very far and the market has already fallen a lot. So the supplies get very weak here. So there is a quick V-shaped reversal because of the deep discount in the market. All right. But what happens when it goes back up? When it goes back up, remember the trend is still down. So these supplies are still very strong. So if this has to be a bottom, it cannot simply just consolidate here and break out. This might happen in a uh, very strong reason for a bull market. If there is any, then this might happen. But mostly you'll see whenever it goes back up to the supply, it will pull back sharply to some sort of a demand zone or even the lowest demand zone uh, if that is the case, right? So first of all, if you're not familiar with demand supply zones, make sure that you watch my video on demand supply zones. You can find it on my channel very easily, and then all these things will be much more clear to you guys. All right. So pulls back to this demand zone, but remember we are looking for a bottom. So during a bottom, this demand zone should hold. All right. The price should not really make new lows because that will just be the continuation of the trend. So sorry. So what should happen is from this demand zone, the price basically goes back up to this supply. All right, it goes back up to this supply, and towards the end, there is a tiny bit of contraction before price starts to break out on the upside. So, so basically, what happens is in this entire area, in this entire range bound area, the price will test out the supply, it will come down and test out the demand, and then when the test of demand is done, when this test of demand is done, then price starts to the volatility starts to drop, the candles start to get smaller, and price basically goes in the range before breaking out. So whenever you're looking for a VCP around the bottom of the market, you can't be looking for a VCP when straight after a drop when the market does this. All right, this is not a VCP. This can simply turn out to be some sort of a fake breakout, and then the market forms a much bigger range around here. You always have to be cognizant of the space which you are leaving out in this area. All right. So the main things which you have to look for is that there is a solid demand zone which is tested, and then the volatility is dropping in this area. Price is going range bound. Price is the range is small, and obviously this can fail as well. So, but when it fails, suppose you're buying here, when it fails, your stop loss is very small because now the price has contracted. All right. But when this fails, it can immediately just break out and gap down into this area because there is a huge space available for the price to move around. All right. So if we look at some examples in the recent past of a bear market bottom, or even a tiny correction, all right, or even a tiny correction, you see all of these bottoms, uh, they will justify all these points which I have put forward today. All right. So if you see, this is my last area of supply. This is a fall down into a new low. Then because see this is a very accelerated fall. All right, this was the range, and price quickly left this range, and then it came back up to this range very quickly. All right, so if you see, came back up to this range very quickly, and now where is the demand zone inside the range? The demand zone inside this range is right here. All right, this is the demand zone inside the range. This demand zone starts to hold, price starts to contract here. If I turn it into a line chart, you will be able to see what's going on. This is the supply, there's a pullback, again a pullback to the demand, a contraction right here, and then the move starts out of nowhere. All right. So if you aren't able to spot this at the bottom, if you aren't able to make a case for a move higher, then you will be spotting the bottom after a first rally every single time, and this is what we don't want to do. All right. So let's take another example. Um, let's take this example right here. There's a big fall. All right. There's a sharp fall here, and this is the last supply. So the last supply here is this candle right here. All right. This is my last supply. Price quickly reverses back into that last supply. And where is the demand which I'm watching? The demand zone is formed right here. All right. This entire area is my area of demand. All these bunch of candles right here, area of demand. And there your price contracts and starts to break out. But this time it isn't able to go beyond this supply, which is all right. But your point should be you have to capture this structure out of the bottom in case price starts to break out into new highs. All right, price won't obviously start a new bull run after every single structure it forms here, but still price stays above and you can exit when it breaks down. So your entry was somewhere here and your exit was here. So basically you aren't really taking any losses at this point. All right. So again, same thing at this bottom. If you see, this is my supply area which led to this low right here. All right, price goes up, contracts here. The demand is also right at the supply here, so the range is very small here. All right, the demand is right here, breaks out, pulls back into this breakout demand, which is this area right here. If you see, this area right here is your breakout demand, pulls back into that demand, a nice pin bar, and then continues a rally on the upside. Still holds the trend here before things really start to go south. All right. So the structure. Let's take some recent examples as well. Since we're talking about this, let's take some in Nifty because this was Bank Nifty. All right. So Nifty, if you see one example right here, I remember this because I have traded this entire rally. So if you see, this was the supply which made the last low, came down, uh, price quickly spiked up to the supply. All right, came down into the demand, candles got smaller, there's a pin bar, and then broke out, test again, and then there was a new rally from this area on. All right, so this tiny range at the bottom, this basically leads to the entire move on the upside. All right, so same thing happened here as well. If you see, this is your supply, this is your test of supply, gaps down, that is all right, then again goes up, and this is where the price stops slowly. So the contraction happens, breaks out, and breaks out into the next supply. All right, so the entire, if I put a line chart, you will see all three legs happening here. So if you see, these are the three legs which happened, and obviously it couldn't go beyond the last supply, which is all right. You should always be able to catch these sort of bottoms which are formed. All right, if this does not form of the low, it will definitely form in the second base which builds up, because price cannot go up without basis. It cannot just simply uh, keep going up without forming any basis. All right, again around the bottom of this pullback, if you see, this is a move down, this is your supply. So this is your area of supply, goes down here, there's a breakout. So there was no base initially, But now if you see, it pulls back and then it starts forming a nice base. So here is your three wave range, if you can call it that. All right. If you see, the entire structure is visible on the line chart. All right. So every time out of a bottom, you will definitely be able to spot these sorts of ranges. All right. Here also, if you see, there was a huge fall. This was the COVID fall. So this was the last supply actually, because see, this is the fall. This is the last candle. So price goes up till the supply. This area is your area of demand, because if you see very closely, see, these are very um, precise things. All right. You cannot simply name anything, uh, demand supply, and make your case out of it. This is the range from where the breakout happened. All right. So the range low becomes my area of bullish trend, and this is where the tiny base builds up right here. So if you see, when the volatility is too high, like it was in the case of COVID, we have to wait for the structure to cool down even more. All right. So all of this is a game of volatility. You only have to understand when the volatility is shrinking down, and that is when there's a big chance of a one way uh, move. All right. So with this, we'll end the video. If you're still watching, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. If you have any doubt, make sure that you ask it in the comments as well. I'll be happy to help. I'll see you guys again with a market update video soon, maybe on Wednesday or Thursday. All right. Have a good trading week ahead.